listening to the Estheticians Earning More podcast with Brittany Hageman, episode number 229. Happy Monday and welcome back. I'm so excited for today's episode, for today's guest. It is none other than CJ Williams. If you listened to my interview with Jamie Brown, I did mention that CJ was going to come on the pod soon, and she's here today to talk to you. This conversation was so fun. CJ, if you don't know her, she went from, within the first 3 years of her business, hit 7 figures, so over $1 million in revenue, gross sales. CJ is incredibly smart, incredibly hardworking, a ball of fun and energy, as you'll be able to tell on this podcast. I actually kept in a part where she misspoke because it was just so funny, like her and I laughing about it. Normally I'll cut that kind of stuff out, but it was just so relatable, and it so makes sense that this person is the person that grew the business that she has today. She also completely restructured her business in the last year, and she shares that whole story and talks about what she's working on now and what she's focusing on. And I think that this story, one of the main reasons I wanted to have CJ on my podcast is because of how different phases she's had in her business and how she's navigated it. And it's not just one straight way of making money, that there's many ways that you can make money and grow. And she really talks a lot about customer service and how she serves her clients, and just things that I think a lot of estheticians skip over. And also mindset. She's has a very, very good mindset and doesn't have a lot of drama in her business. I mean, things happen in her business, but she doesn't ride the wave of the drama. And she's just really cool. So I hope that you love today's interview as much as I do. And thank you again, CJ, for coming to the podcast, and enjoy my conversation with CJ Williams. Welcome to the Estheticians Earning More podcast, CJ. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm CJ Williams. I am the owner of CJ Esthetics in Lexington, Kentucky. I have been an esthetician for about 10 years now. Over the last 7 years, I have expanded my business and scaled up to having, at one point I had 12 employees, and over the last year and a half or so, since having a baby, I have scaled my business down to accommodate my lifestyle now. So that's a little about me. I specialize in acne. I have been a Face Reality Ambassador since 2022. Do a little bit of everything. I am on Instagram as CJ Esthetics. I think that's how most people find me.
Yeah. I have so many things to ask you about, but I want to hear first your backstory. So I've also been an esthetician for almost 10 years. Did you get licensed in 2016?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild.
That's crazy.
Okay. So what did you do before you were an esthetician? You didn't do it out of high school?
No. So right. I was actually enrolled at the University of Kentucky as an elementary education major, and I got in the classroom and realized very quickly that it was not for me. And so my older sister actually does hair, and I was having a quarter life crisis. I was 21, crying in the chair. I'm like, what am I going to do? I spent my whole life thinking I wanted to be a teacher, but I mean, I hated it, and nothing had ever really appealed to me. I spent my whole life thinking that.
Yeah.
And they had just hired an esthetician at her salon for the first time. And she was like, well, what about aesthetics? And I was still struggling with acne at the time. And basically she went and grabbed this girl, and she came over and started talking to me. And she wasn't being in a hateful way or anything, but she was like, I could help you with your acne. Okay. And I swear it was one of those moments where my life came out of my body of aha, I didn't know that was a job. I didn't know what an esthetician was.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks later, I dropped out of college and enrolled in aesthetic school. My dad thought I was insane, but I knew I didn't need the education degree at that point. The decision was made.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was in 2015. And I started aesthetic school that summer. And then here we are.
Okay, so then you went to school, and out of school, did you work for somebody else, or did you automatically open your business?
Yeah, so funny enough, the same salon that my sister worked at, I got to work with her for 2 years, and I did everything. I mean, body waxing, spray tans. I could do a Brazilian in 12 minutes, hated it, but I got really good at it.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of like relaxation and, for lack of other ways to say it, like it was a lot of old ladies who just like wanted to be rubbed on, which great, but I wasn't like changing lives in the way that I thought I was going to. And I was still dealing with a little bit of acne, and just nothing was really like fully clicking. And so fast forward 2 years into working for the spa, I got an offer from a plastic surgeon to go work for them. Unfortunately, I hated it. I lasted 4 months. I just wasn't getting to do a lot of aesthetic stuff. I learned a lot in that time. I got to like scrub in and like see some surgeries. I got to learn a lot about Botox and all of like the behind the scenes of things like that. But I wasn't really getting to do aesthetics. Like I was mostly like prepping people for the plastic surgeon.
Wow.
So then basically my now mother-in-law was getting her lashes done at a place who had a room opening. And she was like, I want you to go look at it. And I told her, I was like, I'm not interested. I don't want to work for myself. That's never been my thing. And within like a week, the job just got like so much worse. And so she was like, CJ, like, I'm telling you. So basically I went and looked at the room, and I think I actually put in my 2 weeks before I looked at the room. That's how we got there.
Wow.
I decided I was just going to serve tables again, like until I figured it out.
Okay.
And then everything just worked out. So in January of 2019, I started booth renting in I think it was an 8x10 room. It was teeny tiny.
Okay.
And in 2019, I was one of 2 acne experts from Face Reality in the state of Kentucky. The other girl, my friend Megan, is in town. And I think genuinely, like, that is what changed the trajectory of my career.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I got a couple of friends that I started like being like, is it working? Like, does it work? And I offered them really cheap services just to essentially say, like, is this going to work? And as soon as I got those before and after pictures, I mean, it was just like, it took off. And all of a sudden, people see someone who's had acne for years, all of a sudden their skin's clearing and they want to know what they're doing. And no one was really doing it in the same way that I was. I really take a casual approach to it. And I know a lot of people like don't want to be friends with their clients, but I'm besties with all of mine. And I think because of that, like that's why I got so many referrals. And so fast forward within a year, I was booking like 6 to 8 weeks out. I had people who were like, can I just book a year in advance? And that was really overwhelming. So I decided I was going to expand. COVID happened and the world shut down, which honestly for me worked out better because I was able to put all of my energy into opening a storefront location.
Okay.
So in June of 2020, I opened my first storefront location. I had 1 esthetician and 1 front desk staff. And then quickly within about 2 years, I was at 4 estheticians with 2 front desk staff. And we were at the same position that we were at to begin with of like people wanting to book out. Like we literally had to be like, you're only allowed 1 appointment a month. Like you're not allowed to come in more frequently than that because people were just like pounding to get in.
Wow.
Which such a compliment, but it was a lot, like we raised our prices. We were doing all the things and we just were drowning.
Wow.
So then the next move was just to keep expanding. My husband quit his job and started working for me full time, which was crazy, but he really helped me expand my like shipping and my online presence in a way that before, like I utilized a little bit of drop shipping here and there, but I didn't have like a machine in the way that we do now. Like we have systems, and he came in and he really helped do that, which allowed us to expand into 2 locations.
Okay.
And then I got pregnant and everything changed. And all of a sudden it was just a lot to balance. And so within a couple months of that, like I realized like 2 locations was already going to be too much with like adding a baby in the mix. So I decided not to renew the first lease.
Okay.
And we moved everyone to 1 location. Fast forward a little bit, we had a few people leave for various reasons. I had 1 girl go to nursing school. Another girl ended up, unfortunately, with cancer. She's a survivor now, where everything's good. But we had different things happening that it was just chaotic. And I was figuring out how to be a new mom. And so I feel like it was still just like, it was just still a lot. All to say, I didn't really know what to do from there. And back to my sister, she does everything for me, but she just opened her own salon in November of this last year. But as she was doing it, she was talking about how she wanted to have her people booth rent from her and not be employees, because she saw how much stress I was under trying to make sure people were booked. And, it's a lot. Like, people want to see the owner, but sometimes they don't want to see anyone but the owner.
Yeah.
And it's really like kind of a tiptoey thing. So she kind of put that in my mind of like this moment or this idea of like booth renting. And so I kept thinking like, well, that would be a good way for like the girls to be able to make more money. They have to provide more things for themselves, but maybe we can meet in the middle. And so a few months later, I'd run numbers and all the things, and I was trying to figure out how to give the girls raises. We were paying 100% of insurance at the time for everyone, and things just kept getting more. So I'll just say, in April of last year, I sat the girls down and I told them, like, listen, this is where I'm at. My thought process is like, I want to change the business model. You all are going to think I'm crazy. Lots of tears were cried. I feel like all of us were just like, Chloe was so funny. She said, this feels like a breakup. And she was like, I know it's not. But it was different. We were trying to figure out something that would work for everybody. And now we made the transition in July. So we gave our clients about 3 months notice, and there was definitely a little bit of like, some growing pains, and we're still kind of figuring out like how to do certain things. But now everybody kind of shows up when they want, how they want, and we're still very much like in a collaborative effort. We changed the name from CJ Esthetics to CJ Esthetics Collaborative. No,
Right.
we didn't say that. We changed the name to CJ Esthetics Collective. My brain's never worked the same since having a baby.
It took me a minute to realize that you were correcting yourself. Okay, wait.
You can keep that or not. I don't care. I am who I am.
I mean, no, your brain is moving very fast. I am trying to take notes to keep up. So you're doing wonderful.
Okay. So we even changed the name to CJ Esthetics Collective.
Okay.
So that kind of signals to people like there is something a little bit different here, and like we let clients know. But we made the switch in July, and it's been fantastic.
Okay.
It has like everyone's still here pretty much as they were before. A couple of the girls start later. I start a little bit earlier, but we still get to see each other. Everybody's, I think, making a little bit more money than they were before. They've got more control of their pricing and their books. And if they want to come in on a Saturday, nobody is making them or anything like that as far as like any sort of obligations. And I've been on the employee side of things. I've been on the booth rent side of things. I've done a little bit of it all. And I feel like I've been able to kind of be like in this bridge position to help the girls ease into it. Like they got to keep all of their like back bar stuff and their furniture in their room, their beds. Like, what else am I going to do with that? But, I tried to make it as easy of a transition, and I think it has just been wonderful. And it's so funny. Like I've gotten such different feedback on it. And the main thing that stuck out to me, and I had somebody, what was the word they used? It wasn't shame, but like basically like, are you embarrassed that it didn't work out? And I was like, like maybe at one point, but no, like my peace of mind and like getting to spend time with my baby that's my priority right now. And it's just, it's funny. I'm trying to figure out other ways that I can get more out of the treatment room. And I know you did that. And it's just, I don't know, trying to find that balance. It's funny how things just change once you have kids.
I think it's interesting that someone would say it wasn't successful because it was successful. You just chose a different path.
Yes. And I wish I could think of the phrase that they said.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely had people that were like, oh, like you don't want a whole team anymore. And I'm like, no, but it is really interesting. I've got a lot of friends in the industry, obviously, but I've had a few that have started to do the same thing who have downsized. And the general consensus is that we are all more profitable without a team, which is not something that a lot of people realize, but the more money that comes in, the more money that goes out when you have a team. And that's something that I think it's hard to wrap your head around.
Yes. Yeah. I was going to ask you that when I was taking notes. One of the questions I was going to ask was like, how much were your operating costs when you had 12 employees? Like probably so much money.
Gosh.
I don't know if you
That was
remember.
one thing that Trey like did a lot for me with that, which he just started back at UPS. So that's another like adjustment. We're like back to being on like the corporate person's time clock. But
Yeah.
we're also saving this is sick. We're saving over $80,000 in insurance between what we paid for the girls last year and what ours was, because we were paying 100%. And
Yeah.
even just for me, Millie, and Trey, it's like insane. So things
Health
like that, I
insurance.
think that people don't realize that,
Yeah.
there are so many other hidden fees, and you're paying your sales tax. I know at one point our like estimated payroll for the year was, we were doing about $500,000 in payroll. Like that's just going out in payroll, not including any of the other extras or rent or anything like that.
All the other
But
fees.
I can get a number for you, but I'm not 100%
It's
sure.
okay.
But I do know that it was a lot.
Yeah.
And, that is something that the insurance, the little things like that, it adds up. And I wanted so bad for it to be like a career, not a job, because in this industry, it's unheard of to have health insurance benefits
Yeah.
or different things. And I wanted to do all of the things, and I did, but
Yeah.
I feel like it just wasn't sustainable long term.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think it's like one of my friends, she has her own spa and she coaches spa owners and tries to help them make more money. And she says, like, oh, wait, if I should have written it down. I think she said you want to be making like if you aren't working in your spa, you want to be making like 20%, like you take home 20% of what they do. And she was like, well, what is it for solo? And I was like, you want to be taking home 40% of what you do.
Yeah.
And so in those ways, like I guess there are pros and cons obviously to both. I never had it, like it never was my path to hire estheticians. I came from managing people all the time, and I knew that that's what that was, is you're basically managing people.
Yeah, it was my first time.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, this is not how I want to spend my time managing people. Not to say I wouldn't manage people in the future, but like at that point in my life, like that was a hard no. And so and I think it was one of the things I wanted to talk to you. I mean, there's so many things I want to talk to you about that you said, but like the whole motherhood aspect of it and how it completely changes everything for you.
Yeah.
So like obviously, like how was your pregnancy? Like was that the pregnancy rough? Like I know you said when you got pregnant everything changed, but like where, like at what point did you realize like, oh no, this is going to be different?
So honestly, pretty quick. I don't think it like I really accepted it because I've been a workaholic since I was like 15 years old. I always had a job, if not two jobs. And so I feel like it was really hard for me when I was pregnant. I was so sick. I threw up all day, every day until I gave birth. And all to say, I couldn't work the way I could before. And like, I had never really been in a position where like I hadn't been able to just like power through.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it really made me like sit back with it of like I could not get up. There was no leaving the bathroom. And in my mind, like that just wasn't going to be my pregnancy.
Yes.
And so I think very quickly I realized like, okay, this is going to be harder. Like my energy is not in the same way that it once was. And then, once the baby got here, it really changed. Like Millie didn't sleep for the first year, which is part of it. But, it sounds so silly, but I just thought that wouldn't happen to me. Like, this is not the way I planned it. So that wasn't how it was going to go. And, I was sick. I didn't have a baby that slept. And I think because of that, it made me realize what I do want to pour my energy into, because I don't have as much of it to pour out.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a similar story. I was sick instantly, and fortunately it was COVID. So everything shut down. And so I got to lay at home all day and be sick.
I love that.
Yeah. So it was actually really great timing. Like I was so sick, and I was like shocked. I was like, I'm going to be the pregnant woman that's not nauseous. And if I am, I'm just going to power through it, because like I'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it like totally, and then again, I had a very difficult newborn who also didn't like sleeping. She still doesn't like to sleep. And it's funny because for the listener, CJ and I had this appointment scheduled, I don't know, a month ago, maybe. I don't remember. And you were like, you messaged me, you're like, I'm not gonna be my best self. Like I was up, my daughter's sick, like I'm not feeling good. And I was like, oh, well, let's just reschedule. Like I get it.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, like I don't reschedule. Like that's just not in my ethos. I'm like, I understand. I have been there where like my cancellation policy for like so if I canceled all my clients as an esthetician, they would get half off their next service with me because that's how I never canceled. Like I always was there. And it's like, so, but it really does change you and breaks you open in a way that you don't expect. And then for me, and I think this is probably obviously it's the same thing for you, is it kind of reprioritizes like how you want to spend your time.
Yeah.
And how you want to make money.
Yes. It definitely makes you want to work smarter, not harder. And like because my pregnancy was the way it was, like I know I'm done. We don't want any more kids. Like we're thrilled, one and done. We're just 3 little besties. Yeah. And that being said, like I know she's only going to be little for so long, and like it makes me want to be that much more intentional with her being this size, and you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my daughter just turned 5 and, you know, she's starting kindergarten in the fall and she does go to preschool every day now. But you know, it's like one of those things that, and I've talked about it a little on this podcast, but like I did step away pretty tremendously from working so that I could be mostly home with her. And because of that, I didn't make as much money as I could have made. Yeah. But I did a couple of things that I think that you're doing, which is like I kept a business going. I kept income coming in. So I didn't like completely step away and completely lose that. And then, so you can always like ramp back up in the future, right? Like that's always possible. But then like as a mother to a mother, like I can't go back to those 5 years. Like the first 5 years are done. And like, I'm so glad I was there.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely. I have a client who she's a little bit older. Like her kids are grown, but she's had her own business. And when I first got into trying to balance it all, I was like, Julie, how do you do this? Like, how do you find the balance? And she said, you don't. And she was like, you know, there are times that your kid needs more and you pour more energy into that. And she said, there are other times you have to lock yourself in the room and get your work done. And it was just like to be seen, you know, like just hearing like, I think Instagram, social media makes it so hard not to compare yourself. And like, you know, people do make it seem so easy, but even I catch myself like just the other night, like I had posted a picture of Milia right before I posted it. I was like, God, the back of my house looks so messy. And I was like, this is real. Like
real life.
It's just real life. And I think that authenticity is like what we're all craving right now because everything has been so like picture perfect the last few years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yes. And I also think like one of the things that I realized is like I'm an older mom. And so I was comparing myself to women my age that had teenagers.
How old were you when you had?
I was 35 when I had my daughter. Yeah. So, you know, I'm now in my 40s. And so like a lot of women in their 40s have teenagers. And so like I can't compare my life to if I have teenagers because like, yes, teenagers are like, they need a houseplant parent that just is like there observing, you know? And my daughter, like she gets off of school, she wants my undivided attention. Like there's no one else, you know? And so I think like how this can tie in, because like one of my ethos of this business being an esthetician coach is like I really want women particularly to make more money as an esthetician since you can. And
absolutely.
And women like are like elderly women are the poorest population in the United States and has been for a really long time. And so like changing that trajectory. But you like what you said earlier is like you have to day by day, week by week prioritize like what is going to be.
And sometimes it might be something that you don't even know you need to prioritize until it's happening.
1000%. And then also like as your children get older, you do have more time and energy to put into your business because they don't want you around as much and they don't need you as much. Like your daughter, she's 3.
She's about to be,
Yeah. So like they need you so much. Like they need you for everything all the time.
Yeah. But I think too, like just each new phase has been so much more fun. But again, like that's why I want to spend the extra time with her. Like that has been something I used to work until 7, a couple times a week. And once I got pregnant, that eased back a lot. And then with Trey going back to work, like I genuinely don't have childcare. And it's been nice that it's like forced my hand to like make sure I go pick her up and spend some time with her.
Yeah.
And so that's been really nice. And I don't know, it's just funny how things do change in a way that like you're not really, no one can prepare you for it, I guess is all to say.
No. And I think I'm also curious for you is like also being an achiever, being a doer, like very young woman owning a very successful business with employees. Like that is an accomplishment. That's not something that you hear of very often. That's not something that you even see in our industry very often. And that switch in your brain from that to the lifestyle that you have now, I'm just curious of like what things came up for you besides other people's opinions and obviously your own being sick.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Not to get like too deep on you too, but
I would love it. Yeah.
Fast forward, rewind. First in 2021, not going to get like into too many details, but some major things happened. One of my very good friends I found out, who had been my office manager at work, had stolen about $10,000 from me. Yeah, a tale for another time. But so that had already like been a huge thing in my business. And like Lexington, like it's a small town, but it's not that small. Like everybody knew and whatever. But all to say, like, it hurt my feelings, and obviously, but I think that there was already a lot of like guardedness that kind of came from that, where I already was kind of like trying to figure out like how well can I read people, and that's something like as a business owner, like you do have to find people that you trust. And unfortunately, some people take advantage of that. And I think that is kind of what happened. I had a couple of girls that did that as well when I was pregnant. And just to say, like, I think that those were like the bigger motivators for me too, of like, okay, like I know I can protect my heart if if it's just me. And like, I'm obsessed with all the girls here now, but like, I think that those were definitely catalyst events that were always kind of in the back of my mind of like, how much of this am I pouring into someone else's cup that they're not pouring back in mine?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think like, yeah, when you're a business owner and you own, like you have that many like things that you're managing, like there are going to be these parts of the business that people steal, they're unethical things. And when it's a smaller operation, you have a lot more control.
Yeah. And again, like I just being a manager just wasn't for me. I don't like to be micromanaged, so I'm not going to micromanage people. And I think some people, it's just like being a solo esthetician, like it works out for some people and it doesn't for some people. And I think a lot of that depends on your work ethic and like how much you put into it. And like I know a couple people who've gone out on their own and then decided it wasn't for them and decided to be employed again, which I get it. Like how nice to be able to just send your W-2 into your taxes and be done.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think that you also the rate that your business grew is virtually unheard of. Like as an esthetician business, it grew so fast. And so like to put in systems to maintain that without burning yourself out or without like, it seems almost virtually impossible. And you seem to did it pretty well.
And it's been a lot of trial and error. What works at one point might not work at another point. But yes, the systems have been keys. And I think that's something you talk about a lot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do. Yeah. I want to talk more about trial and error because I feel like this is something I hear from my clients and I just hear from estheticians in general is that there is this perception, and we know obviously certain people portray this perception, but there's this perception that it is just easy and there is no trial and error and it is just one step after the next. So can you think, besides like the management issues, like from actually growing your business, can you think of like trial and error, like moments that you had?
Oh, like trying to figure out how to keep shelves stocked. I mean, just figuring out how to share back bar products and like, figuring out so many things that how to ship out a package and what is the best, at one point we were doing it directly through UPS. Well, that was a ripoff. But if you do it straight through UPS, you don't get it there fast. And so like we found out that Shippo works best for us, but it has definitely been like things like that, if you don't try to ship out a product, when someone asks you to ship out a product, you don't know how. And so like that was the thing. Like I had a girl reach out from South Korea and she was like, can you ship to me? And I didn't know. So we did a little trial and error and Trey figured it out. Like the first time it actually got sent back to us. And then because we didn't do like the customs thing right.
Yeah.
But like, again, that's a perfect example of like a trial and an error. There's been other things like I just saw my dermaplane handle, but like I've tried to like cheap out on dermaplane blades. That's something that you can't cheap out on. That is a trial and error. That dermaplane pro, like I will not stray anymore.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson. Different sort of retail products. I feel like I've definitely done a lot of just like throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. But I think getting online and being so like just talking to people helps you be able to like grow those relationships with clients where you don't feel like you're just like throwing things out. Like you start to realize what works as far as like sales and things like that. I had this is another one. I had a handwritten book for my appointments at first for the first year. So realized very quickly that wasn't going to work. I had 2 clients show up on the same day, same time. Yep. Ironically, best friends. So it worked, like literally worked out perfect. But they were like, what are you doing here? Like, I have an appointment. And so that was my sign to like get online booking. Just, yeah. I feel like there's been a lot of things like I didn't have an online store. And then the online store I had was okay. But now that I switched to Shopify, it's seamless. Like it's a game changer. People can do it with one click. Yeah. I feel like it's a lot of just like seeing, what works here. And there's been times even with like products, if I don't know how something works, I'll give it to a client for free and be like, give me feedback.
1000%.
I don't know if this is going to work, but let's see, and yeah. I think that is, you can't be afraid to fail, as it sounds the way it sounds, but like, you just have to get over it. Like nobody cares.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask you, is because like just those little examples, which may seem like not that big of a deal, but when you're in it, it is a big deal, because like it's money, it's time, you may get embarrassed because they show up at the same time. Like there's so many things that like can create like drama in your head. So how did you navigate that? Like how did you not get weighed down by when trial and error is, when you just like, that didn't work. Like how did that not weigh you down and like make you internalize it?
My mom's always like, don't bother trouble. Like, or she's like, if that's the worst thing that happens today, like it's been a good day. And that has been like embedded in my brain. And so I feel like there are so many times that I catch myself. That's probably something I say at least once a day. I'm like, if that's the worst thing that happens today, great. But like, if 2 clients showing up at the same time is the worst thing that happens today, great. If you getting the wrong product shipped to you is the worst thing that happens, great. Like just, I think it kind of shifted my perspective of like, I had a client another time tell me, it's not brains and hearts, CJ. And she's right. Like, it's not. And it might feel like that at times. Like, I get it. Like, I've cried over skincare more times than the average person, for sure. Yeah. But like, at the end of the day, like, it's really not life dependency. And I feel like that and back to being a mom, it all goes back to being a mom. Like, I think that has made me realize like what is important to me. And while running a successful business is a big part of my identity, like it is not my only thing that like fills my cup up. And so, and I think being honest with people, give like back to like you talking about how you gave 50% off with like clients. If you canceled on them, like I think if you are honest and like give grace, like people will give you grace in return.
Yeah. I like what so both of those things are so true, that giving grace and then people giving you grace in return, but it not being your whole identity. So was your business not your whole identity even when you had 12 employees and 2 locations? Or do you have other things going on in your life, or was this a switch that happened once you became a mom?
Definitely at one point it was my whole identity, but I feel very fortunate. Like I've always kind of had my hands in a couple different pots. Like I hang out with my family regularly. I have friends from college. I have friends from these different little pockets in my life that even before I was a mom, like I feel like I was still able to turn off, like log out of Instagram. I have it where like I don't get my DM notifications just because it just makes me like glued to my phone. You understand, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But all to say, I think I can wear a lot of different hats, but definitely at one point being CJ Aesthetics was my identity. And now it's definitely a big part of it, but there's just so many other things to it, I feel like, too. And but there was also a time that like I feel like as an esthetician, I've grown with a lot of different hats. Like I didn't do esthetician one-on-ones or virtual calls or things like that. Virtual acne clients. Just, I don't know. All to say, I feel like I'm constantly changing what my identity is to some degree. Does that make sense?
1,000%. Well, things that you're interested in your business changes, which is, I would say, is the truth for me. Like I'm now on my 3rd business. So like,
Are you?
yeah, my own skincare line. Yeah,
Wait.
my own skincare line.
How do I not know this?
Well, I don't really talk about it on my esthetician account.
Why?
Well, mostly because I'm not selling to estheticians. I'm selling directly to customers or to clients. And I know how people get so in their head about like competition. I don't want to keep them. I want them focused on growing their business, not what I'm doing.
And that's something I think a lot of people have a hard time with, focusing on what they're doing.
Yeah, you can find my business, but that's not like you keep your head straight on your business. Like don't pay attention to what I'm doing because it doesn't have anything to do with like how you're going to grow your business, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, cool. I love that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so I recognize, like, I agree with that. Like that, like your change, like things, like so funny because if you would ask me when I first became an esthetician, like would I ever own my own business? The answer was absolutely not. Would I? And then when I owned my own business, it was like, would you ever help other estheticians? Absolutely not. Like no way. And then it was like, would you ever have your own skincare line? I was like, there's zero chance. And I have now gone back on all of those things.
Never say never, right?
But I do think like there are 2 things there that you mentioned that I think are so important for people to hear is that things change, your interest in business change, but it doesn't mean like, I think sometimes people will use this as a cop out. So I'm gently calling out people. Sometimes people are like, oh, well, like it just didn't work because like, I don't know, like people just don't like if you do acne, people just like don't like want to like don't really care about getting rid of their act. Like they'll have these like random excuses for like why it's not working in their business and be like, yeah, that's what's the changes versus like, oh, the way I
accountability.
Yes. Or the way like versus you, like you just structured your business differently. Like you're still doing the same thing, but you're structuring it differently and focusing in different areas.
Well, and I think too, people see even like when I started growing a team, like they didn't see the first 3 years that, I mean, I was laughing with one of my clients the other day that she met me. I unfortunately do not remember, but I was handing out my business cards in a bar bathroom. Because like, that's what I was doing at the time, was going out. So why wouldn't I talk to people in the bathroom? And I mean, I was serving tables and I'd talk about, going to aesthetic school. And I feel like you have to put yourself out there. And I get it. Like the fear of rejection is like so real, but also like, who do you really care about caring? Right? Like, I feel like it's like once you can get over it, it's like, it's the most freeing thing of my life. And I wish everyone could just not care.
Well, I think that you're so focused on what you want. Like rejection is still there. Like again, as someone who's now had 3 businesses, so I'm like marketing to 3 different types of people, like each business. Like I just like to do that to myself essentially. And each time there's a lot of learning on what that audience actually wants to hear from me to get my product. And like it's not an overnight like realization. Like it takes months for me, if not years, to figure out the exact how to like communicate to them what it is that I do and how like I can help them, whether that was acne or whatever. But I'm willing to get it wrong for a long time. And also people tell me no, like also talking to people in a bar bathroom, like, hello.
Yeah. I saw a thing once that said like, what if you knew that like at your 400th no, you were going to get whatever, like your dream? And wouldn't you be so excited that every no you got, you were closer to getting whatever that dream was? And I think I read a lot of like self-help type books, but I do
Love
think
it.
that like
Yeah.
there is something to be said about neuroplasticity, and like you can change the way your brain thinks. And
Yes, you can.
I know not everybody wants to hear that, but like it's true. And I think back to what you were saying, like it is easy to say like nobody wants to da 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 da. But you need to ask, like, I think too, like, what are you doing to make people want to come to you? Like you do attract what you put out, whether people realize that or not. Like we're all magnets in some weird way.
Yeah, and I like one of the things that you talked about is that you have a casual approach to your clients, and I do want to get to that. Like, what do you mean by that, and how do you think that's helped your business grow? Because I think that is so important that people miss.
I've had the reason I feel like I really like doubled down on this approach. I've had clients over the years who've gone to other estheticians who they hurt their feelings, and like I am someone who struggled with acne for 20 years on and off. And I understand how like it is such a fragile place, and shaming someone for not knowing that, you know, they needed to change their laundry detergent or what they're eating. And like I think that you have to approach it with kid gloves to some degree. Like you have to be kind about it, but also like it's not my place to tell someone to never have dairy again the rest of their life. Like
Yeah.
I'm very much like, here's the information. Let's talk about, you know, some triggers, things like that. But I think by letting them know that like this is a no judgment zone. Like I have people tell me all sorts of crazy things, but like I need to know if you're smoking weed every day. I need to know. Like, you know, we can find a way around it or whatever, but like if you're omitting different things from your esthetician, you're not going to get there. And I think that is it's something that's very easy to create an environment where it feels so clinical. And like I get it. I think there's divide in the aesthetic industry of like you need to either be relaxing or clinical. Like there's no in between. And there can be like you can have the best of both worlds. Like they can enjoy their extractions as much as they can, you know, make it a nice environment at least while they're getting picked on and all the things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like kind of the root to what you were saying is that being like deeply connected to your clients is you get more information from them. You get
Yes.
more, you understand what's really happening. They'll tell you what's really happening versus like they don't want you to be mad at them or to get in trouble.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. And I think honesty is such a key, obviously, to like getting to the end result. But also, I think too, like, you know, people are coming to us for help, whether it's acne or pigment or whatever. But I think time and time again, I have people who talk about my girls and I, how good our customer service is. And the word that we always get given to us time and time again is how kind we are. And
Mm.
people remember how you make them feel. And that is the bottom line. And like, even I think just like when they come in, I'm like, hey girl, like, you know, I keep little notes of, are they going on vacation or whatever? And like those
Yes.
little things do make a difference. I've got a couple clients, like I throw samples in all my bags, little touches like that.
Mhm.
If I know that they love a certain product, you know, I see their name, I'm going to throw that product in there, like little tiny touches like that. But I also think that that's what keeps people coming back. Like to be
Yes.
seen is to be loved.
To be seen is to be loved. And I think like that goes on, like you said, beyond the actual treatment and appointment with them. And of course, like we can go into the weeds of not having good boundaries with your clients where they kind of take advantage of you, which is not what you're saying.
No.
You're saying that you nurture your clients and
Yeah.
you connect with them and you want them to feel special without getting responding to text
Yeah,
messages at 10 p.m. at night.
absolutely.
You know, both can be true. You have to be really intentional how you connect with your clients. And like, I think back to so many of my clients in San Diego probably felt like we were best friends because I genuinely gave them my full attention when they came in. Like you said before, I knew everything about them, everything about their
Mhm.
lives. And so it was a friend sitting down and
Yeah.
having like an appointment. And of
Well,
course,
and
like
it's like, oh, go ahead.
no, that was like exactly. But like, of course, I still like held them accountable. Like, if they said they were going to do something, like, okay, let's do it. But in a
Yeah.
really fun, loving, connected way.
Yes. And I think that's what, you know, you see these people once a month for years on end. How do you not get to know them at least a little bit?
Yeah. And like missing that connection, like I think sometimes when it comes to scaling a business, growing a business, if you aren't looking at the connection, like I was talking to my brother about this the other day, like especially with AI, which we all have a love-hate relationship with AI, but especially with AI today, it's like what one thing we're missing is connection with other humans, and you can't AI that.
Yes.
So
I
like
totally agree.
they can Google a skincare routine. They can even Google, if you do a face reality skincare routine, and get it like anywhere they want. That is not hard today. Like obviously when you and I started, that was not the case. It is the case today. But having someone sit down and talk to them, figure things out, problem solve with them, that is not something that AI can do.
No. And it's not something that even like a lot of dermatologists do. Like, when was the last time a dermatologist like looked at every single pore on your face? Like, genuinely,
Never.
that's what we're doing for
Yeah.
an hour. I'm looking and I'm spreading the skin to look at everything.
Yeah.
And again, like, I think just like the more you can let clients be comfortable with you, like, it's only going to help grow your business. And then, if they've had such a good experience, they want to send their moms and their sisters but if you're not that you have to be warm and fuzzy, like I am, but I think if you're not giving them some reason to like brag about you, why would they send you anyone? Like, why would they refer their friends to you if you're not making them feel special?
Yeah.
Because someone else down the road will.
Yeah. If you're forgettable, they'll forget you.
Yeah, that's a great way to. I love that.
Yeah, like it's then why, because it does take like time and energy out of their schedule to come and see you and park, and like they may be nervous and like all of these things. And like it's one of the things that I've learned as someone who worked with estheticians, like I can't teach that. I can't teach someone how to make a connection with someone. Because that, like, you either have it or you don't. And so if for the listener, if you have that quality and you know that is like you feel like something's lacking in your business, it probably is that you're not really connecting with every single client.
I love that. That's great advice.
What do you have any of your numbers, like sales? Are you comfortable sharing that? If not,
I was gonna say, not off the top of my head, but I can look. I know I can tell you my very first year, my my goal was to do $50,000.
Okay.
And I ended up doing right at 100.
Wow. Your first full year.
And yes, but I will, let me preface this by like, I was working like a dog. I was going in at like 7:38 in the morning until 7:38 at night. I was doing lash extensions. I mean, I really, really, it did not feel like $100,000 because of, if you broke it down to how many hours I was working.
Yeah.
So I'll just say, I think sometimes too, people see numbers, and which again, you probably know more than anyone. You see numbers and you think like, oh, like if I just make this much, like I'll be fine or whatever. My 2020, so that was 2019. 2020 was a weird year because of COVID, and I don't remember, but I know 2021, we did 7 figures.
Yeah.
I think we did right at $1.1 million that year.
Wow.
Which, crazy. Like my goal was to do that within 5 years, and last year would have been 5 years, and we've consistently done over 7 figures since then.
It's incredible. Standing ovation for you. I love that so much. I was just talking to someone and they were like someone who has no idea about the industry, and they're like, yeah, you can't really make that money being an esthetician. And I was like, oh, you don't know. You don't know. And of course, like for the listener, like CJ did not walk away with that money. That money was total money.
Again, I had 500,000, more than half of that went to payroll just from the get-go. And you've got another $85,000 in health insurance. And we haven't even gotten to rent or. But I'll just say, like, it can be done. It absolutely can be done.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and like, one of the things that I like to really challenge my clients, and because most of my clients are solo estheticians, some of them have businesses, like have employees, but I was like challenged, like, how can you make more money without working more on clients? And you can't, like, maybe not 7 figures on clients, but like I have some clients making like $300,000-$400,000 just them. So like you can do it. You just have to be very strategic about how you spend your time and like how you focus on sales.
Yes, absolutely. And like, I think back to working smarter, not harder. And like, it's something that you want to be able to give clients information and whoever your, audience is, but also you can't give it for free. Like you have to be able to make your money's worth, and that's something that's so funny that you said that. That's something that I'm hopefully working on, trying to figure out ways to share my information with getting monetized for it.
Yeah. Making money for your time and energy. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to share it all for free, but I just need the money.
Yeah. And like people, people respect you more if you charge.
Absolutely. I know.
Obviously there's some people that wouldn't, and I always think about that too. It's like, you definitely are a leader in our industry and a lot of people look to you. And I just so respect your story of like how hard you work to grow. So like, I also want the listener, like maybe especially if you're a newer person or trying to grow your business, like the hours you put into getting that growth.
And,
it wasn't.
I mean, even still, I was on my iPad. I put Millie to bed at 8 last night and I was on my iPad until almost 1, just doing things. And it's part of it, and then there's after today, but I'm done this afternoon. I can do whatever I want. So it's an ebb and a flow.
Yes.
But I do think that you have to be willing to work. I feel like Kim Kardashian, but she says.
Is that what she says?
She's like, nobody wants to work. Like, you've got to get up off your ass and work.
I mean, but it's true.
But like, for real, like it's not, I've always said, like, no one's going to walk up to you and say, are you an esthetician? Or do you do skincare? Like, if you don't put yourself out there, no one's going to know.
No one's going to know. And that could be, again, at any stage of your business. Like, if you have hired and you want to book that person, people aren't going to know unless you tell people that there's a new person who's booked. Like, we could tell this scenario for any stage of your business. Like, you have to be the driver of it.
And the average person, it takes 7 times to see something before they pull the trigger. And that's something that, like, I constantly remind people of that because they're like, well, I don't want to be annoying. Like, I just talked about CBD mist. I'm like, we'll talk about it again. Did anybody buy it?
Yeah.
Like, tell me something else about CBD mist. Don't tell me the exact same thing. Take it from a different approach and see what works. And I think, I don't know, you do have to put in the hours, but like, once you figure out what works for you, like, I mean, it's so worth it.
It's so worth it. And like, again, as like from growing a business, like as a woman, as a mom, I think it's also really important to look at longevity. And yes, like I had unlimited time to build my esthetician business in 2017 when I opened it. And I was working 7 days a week and I was doing all sorts of different jobs so I could pay for my, like, I worked really hard to make it work, and then it grew and it was going great. But then I became a mom. And my time like went to almost nothing to work on a business. And so it became very clear is like, how am I going to make the most amount of money in the least amount of time, being very intentional about that. And that's what it sounds like where you have kind of been in the last year or so, and you're still figuring it out today. You probably figuring it out for the next 10 years. Like, this isn't like you just figured it out and like, you're just like, whatever.
I think that's like kind of the entrepreneur like journey is you pivot. You think you figure it out, and then either you get a new idea or you get bored or something gets thrown at you and you have no other option but to pivot. And I think that's just kind of the fun of it to some degree too.
Fun of it.
What's your human design type? Do you know?
Me? I'm a projector.
I'm shocked. I really thought you'd be like a manifesting generator with having your lots of different directions.
I know, but it's so bizarre. Like, I haven't looked at it in a while, but like the only thing I remember about a projector is that like it's like a lighthouse. Like, I point people where
I was going to say, but also it also makes sense now that I think about it with like what you do with especially your coaching business. Like,
like, but even when I was acting, like I would point people exactly where they need to focus. Like, this is where we need to focus to fix your skin.
I love that.
Like, really, I'm really good at identifying like what exactly is not working and where we need to focus. And I'm like very certain about that. And the only time that I become like, you can be like your opposite human design, like whatever, when I start to try to control people. Yeah. Then it goes out of whack. I have to be like a very strong lighthouse.
I love that.
Yeah. So if I ever like my business start to feel really out of control, I have to go back, like when it's marketing, like, or whatever, where I feel like it's just not sticking and I'm just like this isn't working. I just go back to being a lighthouse.
I love that.
What are
I
you?
love that so much. I'm a manifesting generator, which I feel like I constantly am like, oh, this is a good idea. Like, and I get excited, which that paired with ADHD is, fun.
And then do you know your Enneagram?
Yes. So it changes depending on how I take it, but I'm
Okay.
either a 2 wing 3 or a 3 wing 2, which
Got it.
I think also could change depending on my mood that
Your
day.
mood. Yeah. Yeah. I'm a 3
Helper
wing 4.
and teacher, I think, which makes sense.
Yeah.
What did you say yours is?
I'm a 3 wing 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm an achiever and I have that creative side.
I love that.
So then speaking of that, because we're almost out of time, and I want to be mindful of your time, but do you have, I know if you've read up probably all these like same business books that I have, are you, this is not the right terminology from the book, but are you like a visionary, or are you like a person who like does it, like can execute?
So I'm trying, that's actually one of my affirmations for 2026 is that I'm someone who executes, because I am definitely someone who I have all of these ideas up here, and I just like, I'll start a project and then I'm like, oh, but what about this? And so I have a lot of really good ideas that I need to finish.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're working on. I'm going to be someone who executes this year, but normally no.
Yeah, usually like we have one or the other, and I am a visionary, and I've also learned how to be an executor, and that's like that's one of the things that I've had to figure out for myself, so I can like teach people that, because one of the things that actually I struggle with is if someone's an executor, trying to teach them to be a visionary. That is very hard to teach someone to have vision if they are just used to doing. It can be really it's way harder to go the other way around versus like visionary to, you just need to like really clear on systems to be to execute things, and you just have to like resign yourself to it's like going to be very boring, but it does get done, like absolutely. That is my advice. like my marketing plan for my skincare line is like, oh, so boring. Like I don't get excited ever looking at it, and I always want to like go off in a different direction, and I'm like, no. Consistency. This is the consistent plan that we're going to try for a full 3 months, and then we're going to reevaluate.
Yeah, perfect.
I
love that.
Because my brain's like, but what if we did this? And then what if we did this? And what if we tried this? And it's like, no. Like we can put all those ideas down later and try them another day. That is so fun. That is so fun to learn about you, because that makes sense that you're like a visionary, because I think in order to make money in this industry quick, not obviously there's like nothing, there's no absolutes, but you have to believe you can do it, which is vision.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You have to see it that it's possible. And you may not know that how you're going to execute it to get there, but it's going to happen.
It'll all work out somehow.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like my ultimate goal for my skincare line is to do $1 million of sales a year in my skincare line, which there is zero evidence right now that will happen. Like, and how am I going to do that, CJ? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's going to happen over like maybe in 10 years, like not this year. It's not 2026 goal.
Well, you never say never.
Never say never. Yeah. Like if I get an influencer that like likes it, I guess. But yeah, it's like one of those things that you really have to like have that vision to push yourself to that next level.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to be able to let yourself dream. Like it sounds so cheesy the words coming out, but like I think so many people think like, well, she can do it, but I can't. And it, like genuinely, if I can do it, anyone can.
Sure can.
And I mean that. Like there's enough to go around.
Yeah, and like to kind of recap on what you said, like if you're willing to give out your card at people in bars and willing to get no's and willing to constantly go ahead.
Like, okay, they're going to throw it away, worst case. But also, I've had a couple clients who've been with me for 7 or 8 years because of it. So,
right. How would you know until you knew?
Right. And I think too, like, whether you're a mom at soccer or whatever, talk to people. And I think too, like back to what I was saying about connecting with your clients, I think if you are promoting yourself to people that you already have things in common with, it's going to have such a better flow anyway, versus like when I was at my original job doing facials on 80-year-olds, we didn't have a lot in common.
Exactly. But you didn't learn that until you learned it, and then you just pivoted again. You're like, this is not for me. I'm going to keep going in a different direction.
Oh.
Yeah. So just to wrap up, you work, you do the work, you put yourself out there for the listeners. You're willing to do trial and error and pivoting. And you're willing to reevaluate and change your business structure as life happens.
Yeah. When you start your business, you're one age with one set of things going on, and you have to pivot with it. Otherwise you will not be successful, because what works at one point will not work at another point if other things are changing.
1000%. And you grow and change as well. And like things that you provide, like things that you like change as well. Like one of the things that I learned is I actually love working from home. I love it.
I love that.
So
see, and I need to be out of the house, otherwise I don't get anything done.
Yeah. I like, give me an office, give me my own, this is like my office and my own, like, I'm so happy here. So like, you have to learn these different things about yourself. And sometimes you don't learn it until you go and do it.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, CJ, this was so much fun. We could keep talking about this. Obviously, we have a lot of similar ideas with this. And I just absolutely am so grateful for your time. And I know you are so busy.
Thank you. This was so fun.
So fun. Thank you so much. And yes, if you want to check out CJ, your CJ Esthetics.
Aesthetics with an E. Yeah.
With an E on Instagram. All right. Well,